We're a day away from qualifying in Baku. Finally, it has been such a long break, and I am sick of no Formula One. Obviously, we know this race weekend will be a big one for upgrades and really where teams now stand as the cars are now being upgraded a lot more. We haven't gotten into the really Europe part of races yet, so the bigger upgrades are still yet to come, but Baku will bring a lot. We also get the new format of a sprint race and 2 really qualifyings and a really main race for this weekend. So now let's go into the best/worst teams into Baku and my predictions going into this race weekend. Let's start off with the team that I think will finish 10th, and sadly I'm gonna have to put AlphaTauri into that spot. Reason being, they're a super draggy car, they're not even really good in slow speed corners, and it'll take a lot to outperform that car. While Yuki has been outperforming it, and the video I made yesterday talks about his performances and how great he's been, the car is still very much behind, and with that super long straight, I do not expect AlphaTauri to really get anywhere, and I don't think they're actually bringing upgrades going into this week. So I'm going to have them placed into 10th, and I don't think that Yuki or De Vries will score any points. Next team I have on the list is Alfa Romeo. I think Alfa Romeo is lacking a lot of qualities in its car, and it still has a lot of work to do on really the car that we have currently. Now, the biggest thing that I have an issue with this Alfa Romeo is that its DRS is terrible, and its really straight line speed is bad right now too. The car isn't great also at cornering speed. It's just a very faulty car in general, so I don't expect much from Alfa Romeo. I have them finishing 9th, and I'm even going to predict a DNF from Guan Yu Zhou. I think his bad luck is coming for this race, and I think Bottas is finishing out of the points. Now, from P8 to P1, I think it's pretty tricky. P8 to really P5. I think that's where it's going to be tricky to decide which team will be better of really the other 3 or 4 teams that we have to choose from here. Now, I'm not going to say that Williams is going to have a bad race, but I think 8th is a good spot for them. I think a really bad thing that they have going for them into this Baku really street race is that second sector will not be nice at Williams. While they could catch people on the straight, I remember even last year they were struggling big time, and the car isn't that much different when it comes to its cornering speed. It's a little bit better on its balance, so yeah, they'll probably be pretty strong in Sector 3, maybe even 1, but Sector 2, they'll struggle. I don't really expect a great race from Williams, and maybe Albon itches towards the points. Maybe. Okay, number 7. It's just gonna get harder and harder here. I'm going to put McLaren. Now, I mean, let's see what their upgrades bring. The car is still a draggy monster, and I think that they're gonna struggle against the number 6 team, as you'll see. I have him 7th. I really hope I'm wrong. I hope Lando actually scores. I do have him finishing either 10th or right out the points. That's my prediction for Lando. As for Oscar, I think a DNF. I think he's hitting the wall. Let's see what happens. I hope I'm wrong. And let's see what these upgrades can bring. I mean, the car is just too draggy right now to say that it's an actual good performing car, if you get what I'm saying. Next team I have in 6th, which is a team that I think is going to outperform McLaren, is the Haas team. Now, not much to talk about with Haas. I think that they're a very well-balanced team. They still struggle a lot in some slow speed corners, which last year wasn't really a problem, but this year it's a bit of a problem. They're pretty good in high speed and medium speed, but their straight line speed and their DRS efficiency is what's really dragging them through these races and what made them so strong in really the Australian Grand Prix. Also, Hülkenberg has been outstanding. I mean, the guy's been great. And I hope to see another point scoring finish by Hulk. I think they will be competing with the Alpines. And here you go, Alpine for number 5. I think Alpines will be fighting with this Haas team. I think it'll be a very neck and neck battle. I do have the Alpine team being a tiny bit better because they have a lot of straight line speed. Their DRS efficiency isn't as good, but when Gasly was able to keep up with Ferrari really in the Australian Grand Prix, I don't think that's a very relevant Grand Prix to go off of for this race. This race is going to be a lot more rear-oriented, so the car's going to be sliding around a lot. DRS will be effective, but it'll only be effective to a certain degree. We might get more DRS trains than we did in Australia, and they're going to struggle with their tire wear, but I think that Haas will struggle even more with tire wear. So right now I have Alpine at number 5. Just barely. I think they will be fighting for that really P8, P9 position with, I think, K-Mag having a DNF. That's like my prediction between the two teams. Okay, now we go from 4 to 1, and I had a hard time picking out who out of these 4 teams will be second, third, and fourth. I think we know number 1, but let's go into the analysis for the other 3. And number 4, I'm going to say Ferrari. Yep, I'm wearing the shirt. I hope that Ferrari does better. I hope Leclerc finishes. Please, just give him a nice race. Give him a nice, clean race where he outperforms his car in qualifying. They fall back in the race because their tires are terrible. But just a nice race from Leclerc. That would be very nice to see. The car just struggles on tire wear, and Baku will punish that completely. Last year, we were only able to see him really drag that car to the top because they completely buffed up that engine, and we weren't able to actually see any significant tire wear because of an early safety car because of Carlos and both their engines blowing up. Now, I hope I'm wrong on the actual reliability in these cars, but I'm still a bit iffy. I'm still a bit iffy to see if they turn up their engine, will that car either explode or they won't finish the race. So for that reason, I have Ferrari at 4th. Off of pure pace alone, I think they're going to be very competitive with both Mercedes and Aston Martin. I don't think Red Bull is in the realm of the Ferrari though. And number 3, I actually have Aston Martin. I think Mercedes will outperform in this race. I think Fernando will be fighting the Mercedes car for most of this race. I think Lance will have a strong race here as well. As we know, his first podium finish was here in Baku in that awful 2017 Williams, which was a chef's kiss performance by Sir Lancelot. But actually being able to outperform the car here will be tricky. It's going to be a tough race for Aston Martin. I do believe they have a chance of catching a podium, but I think that Mercedes will take that podium position over them. And my reasoning being the Aston Martin is going to be draggy. They are coming with an upgrade, so let's see. But purely off of without the upgrade and not really knowing what this upgrade is going to completely bring to the car, I'm going to put Aston Martin at number 3. And Mercedes at number 2, they have the better straight line speed. They're practically just as strong in the cornering, and they're bringing parts here. So if they're able to bring parts that are effective enough in this cornering speed, Sector 2 and Sector 3, they will outperform the Aston Martin. Sector 1 will be a toss-up, I think, but it'll be a very close race between Aston Martin and Mercedes. And I don't think Red Bull will be a mile ahead. I think that they're going to have to worry a little bit with their engine reliability. So I think it's going to be a closer race than entailed. But I will make more analysis on this as we go through the race weekend. I just think it'll be tough catching that Red Bull squad because they're just going to have so much straight line speed, and I have them just being number 1 for the pure purpose of that straight line speed will matter a lot in this race, especially between really turn 1, 2, and 3. It's all straights. So it's just important who has a straight line speed, and their DRS efficiency is killer. Now, teams can catch up and maybe stay within a little bit of a radius between Sector 2, because I think that the Red Bull will be a little tougher on itself through Sector 2, but tire wear, again, I mean, the car is just purely perfect, and it's not a race that really allows for other teams to get close. Now, safety cars and other stuff being brought up could make this race a lot closer. And a prediction I have for Red Bull is that Perez is not finishing this race. I think that Perez, K-Mag, and I forget who else I named, are not going to finish this race. Those are my 3 really crazy predictions. I think Max is winning this race, and I think that both Lewis and George are taking that podium. So that is my prediction going into this race and where I think every team really stands going into the Baku GP. Hope it's an interesting one. I have a lot of hope that this will be a great race, but yet again, it'll be a tough race for other teams to really compete with that Red Bull squad. But upgrades are coming, so it'll be fun to see what every team brings and what it actually does to the car, and can Aston Martin bring a big enough upgrade to compete? Can Mercedes bring that big enough upgrade? Let's find out. Leave your thoughts down below. Let me know what your predictions are going into this weekend and name them 10 from 1. Please leave a like, subscribe, it would mean the world, and